Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Giant Take podcast YouTube video. Today, Josh and I are going to discuss the Brian Daboll press conference and also Pat Graham being retained as the defensive coordinator. This is a clip from our podcast. Enjoy.
So let's get into your thoughts on Patrick Graham and this Brian Daboll first press conference.
So I want to talk. Well, I guess I'm going to talk about Graham because you brought it up. I was about to say I was going to talk about Daboll, but then I was like, well, you did ask me to talk about this, so I guess I'll go that way first. I am in mixed thoughts about Graham. I like Graham a lot. I think he's a talented defensive mind. I think he's a good mind. But what I am just struggling with is there's some really good options out there. There's Don Martindale, there's Vic Fangio, there's some other guys who are more qualified, I think, than Graham. I do understand, I'm not mad at Graham staying. I think Graham's a good defensive coordinator, and I think part of the reasons that we played those soft zones and, which annoyed Giants fans so much is because of Joe Judge and his conservative nature. So I'm not exactly, I'm a Pat Graham supporter. I'm not a Pat Graham hater. I'm a Pat Graham supporter. I'm in the Pat Graham fan club, but I'm just not like a top tier member, I'm if Vic Fangio came in here, I would just unsubscribe from my, the Pat Graham fan club, and it wouldn't be an issue. That's kind of my feelings on it. With the Minnesota job, if he does get that, he is apparently in the finalists, the final four candidates. If he does get that job, the Giants will receive 2 third-round comp picks in the 2023 NFL draft, which certainly could be nice if you're looking at it like that, right? You get 2 third-round comp picks, and then you bring in a guy like Fangio, a guy like Martindale, who are just as good of a defensive coordinator, if not better, and you're sitting pretty.
Alex, I don't want you to move on from that Patrick Graham fan club so quickly because you moved on from it. You should mention that you're such a big Patrick Graham fan that you want him to get a job as an NFL head coach throughout the league. I mean, we've been talking about this. I think he was a really good defensive coordinator for this Giants team, as well as his other positions that he's had with other teams, including the Dolphins. That's the one that comes to the top of my head. That he deserves an NFL head coaching job somewhere.
Yeah, I'd say that. I think he deserves it, but that's not as much my concern besides the comp picks, of course, which, I'm sure most Giants fans are a bit giddy about if you think about it. But I'd say I'd like to keep him here because I think he's young. He's developing as a coach as well with a Fangio, with a Martindale. You're not really getting a developing guy. He's kind of where he's at, and he's not really going to become a better coach. I think Pat Graham, the players respect him here. It would be nice to have some stability for some of these younger defensive players like McKinney, like Aaron Robinson, like Ojulari to have that same defensive coordinator. So I'm not really against it. Let's just say this. I won't be furious either way. I will be furious if they don't go, if Pat Graham leaves and then we don't hire a qualified candidate. That would be something I'd be upset about, but I don't think we'd do that. So I'm kind of neutral all around. I'm not usually neutral about anything, so this is pretty big. I'm okay with whatever happens. Well, I just said I wouldn't be okay with whatever happens, but mostly okay with whatever happens.
Well, I think that with Daboll in charge, he talked about, he didn't give anything away. There was a question in the press conference about staff on the offensive side of things, I believe. And he said, we're going to keep that, I'm not going to expose any of that yet. And he made sure to keep himself contained when talking about his staff. He doesn't want to make any claims besides the Patrick Graham one. He came right out and said that they would keep him if he's not on a head, somewhere else as a head coach. But the offensive coordinator, he kept on the down low. He just didn't want to confirm anything with his staff besides Patrick Graham, it seemed to me. Like that was the case. We can go into some other things here, Alex, from the press conference. I don't know how you kind of want to organize this.
Well, you mentioned Pat Graham, and we're talking about Pat Graham. You're like, wait, what happened? How is Pat Graham DC? Who knows? Did someone say anything? There was a quote from Brian Daboll in the press conference, which we'll play now.
There was a report out there a few minutes ago that you're going to be keeping Patrick Graham unless he gets a head coaching job. First of all, is that accurate? And then what are your impressions of Pat from afar and also from having worked with him in New England?
Yeah, that's accurate. I've had a good relationship with Pat for some time in this league. Very diligent. He's smart. I think the players respect him. He understands different defenses. And I have a good working relationship with him. I did when I was back at New England. Certainly we hope that he has an opportunity to become a head coach. I think that's everybody's dream. But selfishly, I would love him to be here. He offers a lot to our program. I think he'd be a great support system for me. And just I'm hoping that works out.
There was a
So that's our Pat Graham announcement kind of thing from Brian Daboll. And as you can see, he's all nicely suited up in that suit. It's, there's no controversies about the outfit this time. Came in the pickup truck. Think everything's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone, it seemed to be like everyone knew, including myself, that that Brian Daboll was gonna show up in that blue, I think it was a Chevy, this morning, the pickup truck. Drove through the storm. Look at the commitment by the new Bills, or the new Giants head coach. And another good thing here, Alex, you added in a sign of the times for the New York Giants in hopefully the right direction. We did not have Mr. good old John Mara, although, he made sure to get his comments out there thinking he was funny.
He can't help himself.
Oh, we'll get to that.
He needs to be in the spotlight.
We'll get to that a little later. The good thing was Joe Shane, the future of the New York Giants when it comes to the GM, the future of the GM position, the general manager position for the team, introduced the new head coach, Brian Daboll, with the right to do so. He was involved in the hiring of this guy along with John Mara and Chris Mara, the interviewers of the head coaching candidates. When thanking the team, Daboll thanked, I think it was Steve, right? He said, thank you, Steve, John, Joe, and Chris, alluding to Steve Tisch, John Mara, Joe Shane, and Chris Mara. I think those were the guys he thanked when getting the
I'm not sure if you saw the photo of all of them standing up there, but Steve Tisch just looks like he does not want to be there. It's so funny.
Really?
Hilarious. He's already trying to inch out of the photo. He's like
I did not know Daboll had that many children. It was interesting in his first interview with the Giants, the New York Giants radio play-by-play voice, Bob Papa. There we go. Voice. The name came to my head. He was like, "What does Daboll do? What does Brian Daboll do in his free time?" And he talked about them in a while. It took him to get there. And I'm like, when you have 6 children, wouldn't that be the first thing that comes to your mind? He's like,
he's a busy man.
I guess I like to spend time with my family, my beautiful wife, and I also do have 6 children in the age range from 3 to 23. And I was like, what? Where did that come from? And you could see, I think he said his son is actually an executive scout or some
Penn State,
role with Penn State. Yeah, pretty cool. And how he got to talk to Saquon Barkley already. He's met Saquon Barkley, I think. He's talked over the phone to Daniel Jones. He talked about developing a relationship with him. He wants to get Daniel Jones to figure out what ticks. He said ticks a lot, what makes him tick, and how that's going to be used
the new right there
to help him at the quarterback position. And Daboll, I got to admit, I'm not a huge Brian Daboll is not going to win a Super Bowl yet. But I did think he won over the press conference.
We've said these words before, and it's not gone well.
With his humor, not his I'm going to punch you in the mouth for 60 minutes. He did crack some jokes here and there. He made fun of, but he said Giants insider, whoever came from there, who had
he dealt with the media
thick New York accent.
He dealt with the media well.
Yeah. I think he also tried to throw them off with the he's like. All right, Brian. So for you, hey, how are you? And he's like, I'm good. Anyway, I think that was a little bit of a tactic / also respectful gesture to each media member when they asked a question. He said, hey, how are you? Or hey, how's it going? And some people he recognized there. I know he said an especially or a special hello to Kim Jones saying like, nice to see you again. And then it was also the NFL Network reporter who was there.
Garofalo.
Maybe it was Mike Garofalo. Look at you, Alex, with that memory.
Big knowledge. And also what's funny, I think we need to have some Daboll, Kadarius Toney dual press conferences together where they just bounce ideas off each other, you know? They talk about how the media are some clowns. Just, you know, why not?
We have actual news coming out from Joe Schoen. He said this was. Oh,
yeah, I was just gonna say I know the Talking Giants has the T-shirt and stuff. Did he? I don't think he actually said that, right? Kadarius Toney
said
media
what?
some clowns. Oh, he did. He tweeted it. Remember? Yeah, that's the reference.
Yeah.
I always forgot. I'm like, I don't remember him saying it. There you go. All right, just clearing that up.
Well, but he doesn't express his plans to people he doesn't know.
Tell me. Oh, that guy.
He doesn't do that. Huh? Yeah. All right. So here we go. We got some news here. Joe Schoen actually said that the assistant GM Kevin Abrams, who people were calling for, do not make him GM. Please don't. Do not stay in house, especially if you stay in house. Don't hire Kevin Abrams. They didn't do that. They went out of house. But Schoen says he's going to remain as the assistant GM because he's been a tremendous resource for me. Schoen already making some remarks about the assistant GM Kevin Abrams weeks into the job with the New York Giants. Same with the director of football operations, Ed Triggs. Both Abrams and Triggs do a lot of work on personnel in free agency and otherwise. John Mara. Oh, I'm not going to do that yet. That we got to save that for later. We have Daboll with a few other stuff. Alex, I don't know if you want to read
I
that
also
off.
want to go back to Abrams real quick.
I really unbelievable.
What?
Okay. No, I'm just kidding.
I
Go
just
ahead.
had something else. Schoen also said that Abrams has offered to give up the assistant GM title if that's needed to lure someone else to join the front office, which seems like the most likely outcome with Schoen bringing in someone he knows as his right-hand man, most likely post-draft, because that's kind of when Shane's going to be able to assemble his staff. Right now we're too close to the offseason. We're right in the thick of things that we just don't have time to reassemble the whole staff. So a lot of people want a clean house. There's only so much of a house cleaning you can do when the draft's only a couple months away, and the Senior Bowl is just coming up this weekend.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Senior Bowl.
I'm very excited.
I don't. Yeah, and I don't know when this stuff is coming out that we have getting going, but again, more content on the Giant Take YouTube channel. Go subscribe. The Giant Take is the name of it, where we're going to be doing draft content. I think even starting this week, hopefully, with our top 6 QBs.
Yeah, it should be out this week, so make sure to check that video out.
Yeah. We're excited. It was a really fun one to record, and we'll have to figure out release date. But stay tuned this week for that. So let's go to Daboll now in this press conference. He said that it's a work in progress to decide who will call plays on offense, right? Not confirming if it's going to be him or the offensive coordinator that he hires, which he doesn't want to speak of yet. It will depend on the offensive coordinator. That's what he said. Daboll said to the reporters that they are accurate in the Pat Graham saying as the defensive coordinator of the New York Giants. We already heard that from the clip that Alex played. Daboll, again with that humor, talked to some media members about different things, right? I said the New York accent to the Giant Insider. He also said to Matt Lombardo, apparently Matt Lombardo showed up a little late. He wasn't so happy about that. Questioned him, didn't you come in late?
It's unacceptable.
And then Lombardo responded with, I was trying to get here in time, traffic, whatever. He's like, oh, you're already making excuses, huh? Okay, I'll remember that. Yeah, okay. There were also some bold and beard jokes being exchanged there as well. As we know, all Giants Twitter has been talking about the beautiful beard that Brian Daboll has. So there were some jokes from the media members about that. He also made a joke. He said, this presser is going great as my 4-year-old has fallen asleep. Really good, guys. So that was kind of funny. And he said at the end of the day, they know it's a result business. It's a results business. And quote, we know that's what it's going to come down to.
That's really important for me. When I look at that quote, Joe Judge always talked about culture, this, that, and Daboll said a lot of the same, right? He wants to be a people's coach. He cares about the players as people. He wants to bring in the right people into this organization. But I think he also understands that the results are what really matters to this Giants fan base. It could be all well and good that, all the players are having pizza parties every week, but if they're not putting, results out on the field, that's going to be the problem. And it's good to know that Daboll acknowledges that. And we've seen throughout this process, whether it be Shane, whether it be Daboll, whether it even be Mara. Well, not so much Mara because he's impatient, but they've stressed patience with the fan base, saying, this is going to take time. We're in a hole. We got to figure this out. We got to clear $40 million in cap space. That came out from Joe Shane. We'll talk about that probably in the next episode or two about what the Giants could do for that in terms of clearing all that cap space, because that's a lot of cap space to clear. And $40 million is quite a bit. You might be sacrificing some guys that you maybe initially did not want to sacrifice. But it was good to see that they're stressing patience, and hopefully we're going to get this done the right way. And that's the most important thing for this organization.
We also have something from Brian Daboll. He mentioned how he's done a lot of interviews, a lot of Zoom. He's done with Zoom. He's done like 40 hours of Zoom the last few days. He said that they've done a lot of offensive coordinator interviews. He's going to keep them private for now. Although we do have some news about, Ken Dorsey, the Buffalo Bills QB coach and also coaching assistant, because he was a front runner for the Giants job. Actually, right when the Daboll news got announced, if not 30 minutes to an hour later, the report already came out saying, oh yeah, he's already getting signed by the New York Giants to be their offensive coordinator. He's getting hired. Bobby Thompson, an NFL reporter, has been really spot on with these, with breaking news before it even happens. He's been basically right for the Giants offseason so far in hiring process. He actually confirmed a week ago or a few days ago, saying that Pat Graham is going to stay a defensive coordinator, and he got that right. So he said here a few hours ago, he said the Bills are actively interviewing candidates for their vacant OC position, indicating that Ken Dorsey will be taking the Giants OC position, as I previously reported. Nothing official yet. And then he quote tweeted that saying, the Bills can still promote him, although the interviews they are conducting are to satisfy the Rooney Rule, as I did not take into account. The Giants have offered Ken Dorsey a lucrative deal. So, and he said the Rooney Rule can be very confusing. If I got it wrong, I own up to it. I apologize for my mistakes. But everything I've reported comes from sources, and the sources have been pretty good up to this point. So I do trust that, like he reported, Ken Dorsey has a very, very good chance of coming to this to the Giants team, in their offensive coordinator role.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how these interviews go down with the OC who comes in, because that's certainly going to be important. And Joe Shane actually came out and said that he'd prefer that Brian Daboll not call plays. So that's a bit of an interesting thing, but he said the decision is ultimately down to Daboll to decide that. So I think some people are taking it a bit too extreme. It's just what Shane prefers. Daboll can kind of do what he wants with that. But, if you're bringing such a good offensive mind in, you probably want him calling plays. That's just my sense of it. But also to make the OC job more attractive, you might want to have someone who, play calling abilities for that individual who comes in, maybe Ken Dorsey. And for him to come to the Giants, he wants play calling abilities. Maybe that's the case. Who knows? Finally, before we get to our final bit of just comedy from John Mara, while Giants GM Joe Shane will be on a flight to Mobile, Alabama, for the Senior Bowl tomorrow morning, Brian Daboll won't be making the trip. He's instead focused on putting his staff together and getting settled in North Jersey, likely further along on staff than presently known, and that's from Art Stapleton. So Shane will be going down, assuming with a whole bunch of scouts, would be my guess, but Brian Daboll will not be. I know the Giants have taken the Senior Bowl very seriously in the past. That was under Gettleman, though. Who knows what Joe Shane thinks. Obviously, it's important enough for him to go. I think pretty much every GM goes, but this will be interesting, and there's going to be lots of hot prospects, especially at the quarterback position at the Senior Bowl. So it'll be interesting to see what Joe Shane and the scouts make of him.
Interesting thing that only Shane is going, not Daboll, because from what I remember of last year, I want to say was Graham and Judge went to the Senior Bowl.
Yeah.
That's just a key piece of news to think about. Graham could still go, but I assume not, because he's got some interviews to worry about. And also he's got some decisions to make in the upcoming days, or teams have decisions to make about him. And he's also got a decision to make too, about what his future holds, whether it's with the Giants or he wants to pursue another team. All right, so on our way out, we got John Mara's way of just spreading a little bit of joy, a little bit of laughter in the Giants community, and with reporters especially. They got a kick out of this one. So we all know the joke about the medium Pepsis right at the end of the season for Fan Appreciation Day. John Mara was like, oh, let's give these season ticket holders a little gift, a medium Pepsi. And if you have multiple season tickets, let's say you have 4, you're only getting 1 for the whole PSL, right? I think that's what it was. So Mara obviously, as he scrolls through Giants Twitter on a day-to-day basis.
On his burner account, which he definitely has. We know. It's like confirmed at this point.
What it seems like, right? Seems like he's got a burner account. He's scrolling through all of those, all the Twitter feeds. Well, he made a little joke today. He thought it would be funny to mention that Fan Appreciation Day gift that he gave to all his fans.
And if you're on YouTube watching this right now, you can see the face of a very interesting, a Joker individual, if you want to say that. But for everyone who's not, you can just listen and enjoy.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. There'll be a free Pepsi for you waiting on your
This is someone who thinks he made a very funny joke right there.